Good morning, everybody. This is Mr. Powie setting up the review for today for the Wednesday and Thursday DeltaMath problems for the week. I'm still getting used to everything, and it seems like a lot of other people are too. So if you're watching this video, good job. You're doing the right thing. If you can get on DeltaMath and do this as well, that's even better. Just a reminder, when we're doing these together, I strongly encourage you guys, really, you should have a piece of paper in front of you and be doing these problems along with me. Not only because like writing them down helps you think through it, but also because if it's written down, you can go back and look at your notes later instead of having to like re-watch the video every time. That being said, during this video, I am going to tell you to pause at various points so that you pause the video so that you can kind of practice some of this work and answer some of these questions on your own. With that being said, let's jump straight into Wednesday's DeltaMath problems. My earphones are coming out. Okay, good. All right, so this one, I'm going to start by copying it down. Y equals x squared plus 1. And if you're thinking, hey, this looks really similar to something I've already done this week, good. They should look similar to something we've already done this week because this says y equals x squared plus 1. Determine the value of y if x is 7. If x is 7. Okay, I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly because this is actually really similar to the video and to the problems we did earlier this week. So this should look familiar, right? This is language that we use all the time, right? This is telling us to replace, substitute, plug in 7 for the x over here. So replace, plug in, substitute, right? All of these words are the kinds of things we need to do when they tell us if x is 7 or when they say if x is 7. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to copy this again. Y equals, and then instead of an x, I'm going to write a 7. But I actually want you, and I need to start getting into the habit of doing this as well. I want us to start using parentheses when we do this. So the x is the thing that's being squared. So I'm going to put parentheses around the x, and I'm going to do it when I copy the problem down again as well. So parentheses, instead of an x, I'm writing a 7. And then I'm squaring it plus 1, right? And now I'll let you guys take a minute and copy this if you need to, but notice my style, right? I'm copying this entire line again, right? There's still a y, there's still an equal sign, there's still a square, there's still a plus 1. I am just changing one little thing, right? The x is turning into a 7. Okay, and then we can go from there. So 7 squared, remember, squaring something means multiplying it by itself. So 7 squared means 7 times 7, which, if you're good on your times tables, you know is 49. If you want to double check that, remember you can go over to the DeltaMath calculator, click calculator. Mine was already up down here. I erase this, and then you can either do, right, 7 times 7, which is 49, or 7, and if you want to square something, you can do this button here. In this case, if you want to be really, really, really careful, you could do something like parentheses 7, close parentheses, square. And of course, that's still the same thing, 49. Right? Okay, so I'm going to copy this again, right? Y equals, and the only thing I'm going to change is the 7 squared becomes a 49. And then I'm going to copy the plus 1 again. And now we've got to do 49 plus 1. I know, I mean, if you're following along, you've probably already thought about this and done this in your head, but I'm just going to make sure I have it on paper to be complete and thorough. So in this problem, y is equal to 50. 50. Yes. A green check. Feels good. Okay. All right, next problem. Cool. I am going to do this one because the setup is slightly different, but I'm going to skip a lot of the other stuff about like replacing, plugging in and stuff. And I'm just going to focus on what happens when the parentheses are kind of around, not just the x, but the x minus 11. So copy this down, y equals x minus 11 squared if x is 8. Okay, so same idea. I'm copying the y, copying the parentheses, replacing an x with an 8, copying the minus, copying the 11, copying the parentheses, and copying the square. Okay, 8 minus 11, right? PEMDAS tells us we got to do what's inside the parentheses first. So 8 minus 11. Oops, I keep on deleting the calculator there. So 8, oops, there. Okay, 8 minus 11. And then the answer over here is -3. So I'm going to write that. Again, copy the y, copy the equal sign, -3, copy the parentheses, squared. Okay, -3 squared. I've talked about this earlier this week, so hopefully this is going to sound familiar. But when we have a -3 that's being squared, there's something that you should start to predict. -3 times -3. Two negatives, when we multiply them together, equals a positive. So this is not just 3 times 3 is 9, it's -3 times -3 is +9. And this is the situation where parentheses are really important, right? Because the calculator, if you don't use parentheses, the calculator doesn't realize that the negative is also being squared. It thinks you're doing 3 times 3 and then putting a negative out in front. So it'll tell you the answer is -9. That's not what you want, right? In this case, if you're doing this on the calculator, you really have to use parentheses. Parentheses, -3, close parentheses, squared is +9. Okay, cool. I know I've said this before, but it's a common mistake. And it's one that the calculator won't help you catch because the calculator is kind of the thing that's making the mistake, right? Most of you, negative times a negative being a positive is like, yeah, obviously, I've known that forever. Unfortunately, if we're kind of doing this on the calculator, we've got to make sure we use our parentheses like we did here. All right, so 9. Submit. Yes, green check, feels good. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to go back out of that. And let's go into the Thursday problem types. A line here, scroll up. Thursday. All right, so the Thursday problem types are all about distributing. And this is an idea that we've talked about before, but that is going to become more and more and more important as we go. So I'm going to go through this a little bit now, and then I'm also going to do it in the stream that we're going to do later today. So if you're watching this video and it's not Wednesday, go and watch the live stream video as well. I'll put that up as well, and you'll get a little bit more examples or more detail about how to do this if you need it. So the directions or the problem says distribute 2 parentheses 9x squared plus 3. Okay, so distribute, right? This word distribute, if we think about like where we see it outside of math class, distribute means, to pass out. Right? We distribute something. We're distributing mail. We distribute Amazon packages, whatever it is. So when we talk about distributing, what we're saying is we're taking the 2 and we're going to pass it out to not just the first thing we see, but we're going to pass it out to everything we see inside the parentheses. So not only, remember, if there's nothing here, we know that that means multiply. So not only are we saying we're going to multiply the 2 to the 9x, we're also going to distribute and multiply the 2 to the plus 3 as well. And as long as you keep that in mind, the math is very simple, right? The math just says, take the 2, multiply it to the 9. So this is 2 times 9, which is 18. I'm sorry, it's 9x squared. So if I have 9x squared and I'm multiplying 9x squared by 2, the 9x squared becomes 18x squared. And then distribute the multiplication by 2 to the 3 as well. And 2 times 3 is, of course, 6, right? Okay. So then I can do that. And then there should be this question in your mind like, oh, can I combine these further? The answer is no. These are different terms, right? This is an x squared type thing. And this, if there's no variable next to it, we give this a special name. Remember what it is? It starts with a C. This is a constant. So we say the x squared term and the constant are different terms. They're not like terms. So this is our answer. We're done. Typing it in. 18, I'm going to do this on my keyboard, 18x. And then for the square, you can either come down and just press the 2 right there, like that. Or on your keyboard, you can press Shift and then press the 6, and it pops you up, and then you can press 2. And then I press the right key to get out of the exponent, and then plus 6 like that. Submit. Green check mark, good. Oh, look, and it's doing like a little video here. Look at that, so fancy. So do you see what the video is doing here, right? It's distributing, it's showing that the multiplication by 2 is being distributed to the 9x squared, and it's also being distributed to the 2 and the 3. So let's watch this again. Nice little video. Yay. Great. Okay. And that's it. This is something that you need to go and like practice on your own. And if you want to see more of this, check out the other video that I'll be putting up later. But this is your DeltaMath video for your Wednesday. Scroll up here, your Wednesday, where we're just plugging in for X, right? Replacing, substituting, or plugging in. And for your Thursday, where we are distributing or passing out the number out in front to whatever's on the inside. Okay, have a great day, everybody, and I will hopefully see you here